Welcome to episode 21 of Take Your Points. We're not in the studio this week. The coronavirus has forced us out into the wilds of Ulster. I'm recording from a secret location somewhere in Belfast, as are my guests. And this week we've got three guests. Cahal Carvill is here as usual. Gerard, who hasn't been on for a while, he's back in. And we have a special guest, Antrim footballer Paddy McBride. And all three of us are discussing coronavirus and the effect it's having on the GA this year.
So what I've been doing during isolation, well, first of all, I haven't had a shave in about 2 weeks, so it's the most hair I've had on my face my whole life. So I've definitely been lazy in some ways, like watching Netflix and TV series, things like that. But I've also tried to stay active doing other things, and I think it's a good time to learn while you're in the house this much. So I've had this in my room, and I'm not going to try and play it because I haven't a clue what to do yet. But I've had it in my room for about a year gathering dust, so now is the best time to try and teach myself. So I've been trying to learn how to play the guitar, and also I'm a PE teacher in College of Firsts, so we've been doing all our work online using Google Classroom for your GCSE, A-level classes, things like that.
I also want to know what you're doing in terms of training.
Regarding training, so every team will be the same. They'll have been given stuff to do, whether it's Gaelic, soccer, rugby, whatever. So with Antrim footballers, we've been given programs, and we've split the panel into smaller groups through WhatsApp, and each group will just do their program, feed back into the group what they done, what it was like, things like that. Then one player will feed all that information back to the manager. So it means your manager, strength and conditioning coach, fitness, whatever, they know what we're at, and they know what each player's been doing, so they can monitor our progress at the same time and then give us new material based on what we've done. So that's a really good idea.
What are your hopes for the rest of the season? Antrim were in a really good position this year and were in the running for promotion to Division 3, so how do you feel about that?
Yes, this came at a bad time for us, to be honest, because we were 2 games away from being promoted. I think we would have won both, but at the end of the day, there's things that are a lot more important than football, and like at the minute, this is a lot more important than football. So it would be selfish to cry or complain about us not being able to finish the season off, things like that. As long as a lot of people get through this safe, that's the main thing. So I don't know what way it'll work, if it's going to be scrapped altogether and we're back in Division 4 next year, or will they find a window to play 2 games and finish the league off? Nobody knows. We would hope for that, to be honest. We would hope to play those 2 games so we can start our next campaign in Division 3 and then move on from there.
I also want to know what the situation is with St John's Club. How is the club dealing with this isolation period? Is there been much contact amongst the club, and how is everybody getting on, really?
Regarding the club of St John's, it's the exact same, to be honest. So like, we had all our fixtures set out for the whole year. We knew who we were going to be playing, what date, things like that. But now no one knows what's going to happen, if it's going to be just a straight championship at a certain stage, or will there be some form of a league. There's no answers at the minute, and to be honest, it's because, again, this is a lot more important than football. So that's me during isolation. I hope everyone else is safe and we all go through this together, and then we'll all look forward to the football starting again once it's all done.
I'd like to say thanks to Paddy for taking part. I wanted to start by asking Gerard how he thinks the GA has dealt with the coronavirus outbreak so far.
To be honest, I think the GA's response has been very good. They have been a leader and a time that we have needed serious leadership. I wrote in my Gaelic Life column 2 weeks ago, and it was Thursday the 13th of March, about how, this is before the whole lockdown started, about how the GAA should get ahead of the curve, just announce that games were postponed or whatever for the meantime, and take it from there, because people were turning to the GAA to look for answers. And at 11 o'clock that day, Leo Varadkar called a briefing from Boston, and then by 12 o'clock our time, the GAA had released a statement saying that all competitions would be cancelled until the end of March. Again, obviously that's now been reviewed and pushed back till the end of April. And I can say that I was sitting in work in Belfast and I was hearing this, and with the Southern Government having closed the schools and the GAA having shut down, people in the north then were left thinking, what's happening here? Will they, won't we? Who do we listen to? And I suppose if you look at our political situation, it's not all Ireland, which isn't that helpful. The other all Ireland organisations are probably the GAA and the Catholic Church, but I think the GAA has been the front runner of all of them. They've been quite decisive in their leadership and taking the initial decisions. Plus also then, in the wake of what has happened, I'm sure that every GAA WhatsApp community in the country, or certainly ones that I am very much aware of, again has been at the forefront of each of their own communities and helping out, making sure people aren't completely isolated. I just know myself from Glenallen, in our community we have nothing else but the GAA, and we have actually changed the Glenallen GAA club to the Glenallen Community Club for the meantime, and because there's people not involved in the GAA who might need help at this point in time, and they're as much entitled to it as everyone else. So the community as a whole is rallying around, and I would know that every GAA community is doing that. I see in the social media today that a few Tyrone clubs have come together and set up in a triangular area. They're doing the same, working within their clubs, and county boards themselves, from what I see, have been fantastic in offering their facilities, trying to help out as much as possible where they can. And I think it's times like this that I also wrote that people are all too quick to lambast the GAA, but it's times like this we sort of appreciate what the GAA does for us and what it brings to the community.
I also want to know, how soon do the GAA need to make a call on the championship, and really what that call should be?
Is there anything the GAA could do or try to do in terms of planning ahead? Should they be making an announcement in the season ahead? I think that's a lot more difficult, because that is being very, very proactive and thinking ahead in a time when we're not sure what the next month or 5 or 6 weeks will bring. Now, I would imagine that the GAA have planned for it, but it's just a case of they're not making public what they've planned for. I wouldn't misdoubt that the heads in Croke Park have got together, or the provinces, and they have probably plan A, B or C. And if they're doing it right, that's what they should have. They should have a number of contingency plans just to see in terms of what way the league might finish out, or if they get it finished and then run into the championship, what way it might look going forward. I note that the Ulster Secretary Brian McAvoy did say last week that the chat of disbanding the provincial championship was just not on the table at that point. I suppose the provincial championships is the big money spinner for each of the councils, so they maybe want to hold on tight to that. And if they do seem to be open to the suggestion of doing away with it and making an open draw just as a knockout for 1 year, I think that if they make that announcement now, it maybe preempt what will happen. They'll probably hold off until as long as possible. Now, that doesn't help with planning around it, or it mightn't help county boards plan what might happen in their own scenarios, but I suppose the GAA is just keeping their cards close to the chest, and that they're waiting on advice from everyone else. They're playing it on a day-by-day, week-by-week basis at best. They probably can't plan a month or 2 months ahead. So in that regard, they might think they look foolish if they make a statement now, and the statement that they now make they can't either follow through on, or they have to change it down the line. So I would imagine that they've planned for 2 or 3 eventualities, and maybe come the middle of May when the championship's due to start in earnest, then we might hear more, because that's when people will be expecting football for the summer to kick off at the county level.
Gerard has played for Derry for a number of years, so he knows the training that goes into playing football. But I want to know what you thought of how players should be training in this period.
I just know from my own experiences in my own club that whenever the ban and gatherings took place, there was a WhatsApp sent into the group with a number of suggested running drills, tempo runs, just to keep ticking over. That was 3 weeks ago now, and obviously things have ramped up a bit more now, and that we're now clear that this is going to run on until at least the end of April. So they're probably being updated, but I'd imagine that most GAA players are of any sort, whether it's hurling, football, camogie or even handball, are doing their best to do something, even if it's just to stick to routine and get the day in. I know myself, I'm just playing club football at the minute. I'm probably training 5-6 times a week at least, basically just to get through the day, to use routine. I'm working from home at the minute, so the time I would usually use for my commute to work, I do a bit of exercise. Now, I have a bit of a home gym set up, so it's something that up until about a month ago I never looked at, I never needed it, because my club gym was freely accessible, but now I'm having to use it. It's not perfect, it's not ideal, but I just have to be a wee bit creative in what I'm doing, and my theory is some training is better than no training. In terms of anything skills wise, I'm not doing much with the football at the minute, but I'm doing a bit of running maybe twice a week, along with the gym work 4 times a week. Again, I'm not killing myself doing it, but it's good just to get out and get fresh air. It's good just to get out and feel as if you've accomplished something, get out of the house. I bought a bike last week just to go locally in, so if I'm ever heading out now, I take the bike instead of the car. It's wee things like that probably helps you keep getting through the day, and probably help keep that wee bit of fitness up should you ever need it come the end of the summer. And GAA players can also use this time to switch off a little bit too. I know that most of their lives would revolve around a structure or a timetable of being at a certain place at a certain time, so obviously have a lot more freedom in that regard. I've started doing a bit of baking, something which I've never have done before, but it's just something I'm going to try over the next 8 or 10 weeks. Start off baking buns, maybe going to scones, something like that. I've taken on to do a lot more reading, something that I always want to do, but you just never get time because you're rushing here or there, or you're always on your phone. So I try and do a bit of reading every day, but I think I would advise anyone to maybe try and think outside the box over the next 2 or 3 months. Do something a bit different that you usually wouldn't do, and come the end of it, you never know, you might have picked up a habit, or might have picked up something that you enjoy that you just probably didn't have time for before.
And I'd like to thank Gerard for taking part. Moving on to Cahal, I want to know what he thinks the GAA should be doing to deal with this coronavirus situation at the moment.
Well, the GAA, through many years in Ireland, has shown leadership, and when there's a dearth of leadership in terms of the political parties, people turn and look to the GAA, and in times of crisis, the GAA, in my mind, has stepped up to the mark again in this day and age. It's been brilliant to see the initiatives that they've taken. They were one of the first organisations throughout the island to call for a lockdown and also impose a lockdown in terms of playing games, in terms of training, in terms of any type of gathering. The advice has been clear from the start, and it's left its members in no uncertain terms as to where things are and where things need to be in order to get better. And I have to commend the association. I know I'm maybe constantly criticising them in terms of where they can be better, but the association, to me, we hold it to a higher standard than any other association, be it sporting or otherwise, in the world. So they have done really well and they have to be commended for that, and no doubt the swift actions of the GAA have saved many hundreds if not thousands of lives. It was interesting. I was just looking at some of the GAA clubs from my own county and other counties and how they have dealt with the social distancing protocols, and there was a video that went viral from White Cross GAA with a lifelong supporter, Shamey Boyle, who it was his birthday, and they organised for the whole team and the parish to drive by as he waved to them like it was the Queen. So, things like that there that are fun and show the hallmarks of community-based support and basing everything, bring it back to the community, because that's what the GAA is all about. And I'm very proud of how the GAA have responded here, and they've done a really great job. And as I said, they've saved thousands of lives, in my opinion.
I also want to know how soon they need to make a call on the championship and how the season's going to pan out.
How soon? I don't think we should be thinking about playing any GAA games, and I'm loath to say it, but I think it needs to be said. In terms of this year's championship, I would be absolutely forgetting about it, because in terms of the people's health, it has to come first and foremost than any GAA games. And at the end of the day, when you're looking at it in terms of older members and maybe your grandfather or your granny that are going to games and wanting to see you play in a club championship, down to Columnists or the athletic grounds to see the inter-county games, is that worth the loss of a life of one of those GAA supporters from any county throughout Ulster and throughout Ireland? To my mind, absolutely not. And in those circumstances, the GAA has to really look seriously, not only about what the advice is from the WHO and the likes of Michael Ryan, but also in terms of what the actual government, north and south, and what the positions that they are adopting. And they need to go beyond that, in my opinion. Like sport, they said, I think what Brian Clough said, football is life or death, and he said no, it was much more important than that. But in this current unprecedented times, the GAA needs to forget about this year as a season and look to the safety of its members ahead of anything. And if that means we scrap the 2020 inter-county championships, we scrap the club championships, and we start afresh when we've got over this epidemic in 2021, then that's what needs to happen. I know a lot of people watching this will be saying, that's crazy talk. We still need the championship for commercial reasons, for people's mental health, for a lot of players have been training for 6 months up until now. But all of that is not as important as the lives of the GAA supporters, the lifeblood of the association. The key thing is preserving life first and foremost, and the GAA will always be there for us. And if you're not at an inter-county game this year, you'll be even looking forward to 2021 season more than ever. So first and foremost, the GAA, I think, take the advice from the experts, but in terms of managing expectations of players and supporters, I think this year is a write-off, from my opinion.
And I also want to know what club players should be doing during this period of downtime. Club and county players, how should they be training? How should they be preparing in isolation?
Well, I think following on from my last answer, maybe not much is the answer to this one, but no, in all seriousness, we talk about the demands that are put on inter-county players, and those demands have filtered through to the club scene. And for a long time we've been saying that it's unmanageable and that we need to put the players first and take a player-centric view of our games. And this is a prime time for those GAA players who before dedicated a lot of their lives, and maybe, to be honest with you, put their careers and their future on hold because they were so committed to the inter-county. And that's the level of sacrifice that needs to be made in order to make it at the top level. Yes, we're an amateur sport, but the word amateur doesn't really apply to the level of commitment that's being given these days. It's professional in every other sense apart from the players getting paid through the books. So in terms of this downtime and what players can and should be doing, simple things from my perspective, first and foremost, is to read. Open up a book, read about the history of the GAA if that's what you're passionate about. Read Sun Tzu's Art of War. invest in yourself, maybe yes, in your physical well-being, but also in your mental well-being. If there is something that you maybe wanted to do, maybe an open university course or an online course to make yourself better outside of the football field or hurling field, to round yourself as a person. If brush up on languages, if you always wanted to learn Spanish, or maybe Irish if you wanted to be a Gael goer, but maybe just didn't have the time. This is now a time to actually invest in terms of yourself and to try and, I suppose, add value to where you are and making the best of this situation. Like, at the end of the day, no one wants to be unable to go and meet their friends and to go train with their mates, and you're missing out on that whole part of your life at the minute. But there is so much that you can be doing, even just like TJ Reid. I saw him, he's got the gym and everything, but he's doing fitness videos for youngsters and getting people engaged. All of the skills videos that I see a lot of the players, Paddy Cunningham and a lot of the inter-county players doing. Really brilliant for the younger generation, and you can see those younger guys who are posting their videos from all the clubs around Ireland. Like, when it comes back and we're able to go back to playing, they'll be even more interested and even more fired up to do well and to compete, and that's one of the good things that have come out of this. Also, it has to be said, a lot of current players and also club players are helping out as any way they can in terms of those vulnerable people in society. And going back to my point at the start here, the GAA is all about society, it's all about community. We look after our weakest, we look after our most vulnerable, and that's why when the GAA took the steps it took, they had those people in mind. And this is a virus which is attacking those most vulnerable in our society, and it would do your heart good in these uncertain times to see what GAA clubs are doing. Just down the road from where I live in South Belfast, Breda GAA club has been working with the local flute band here to provide groceries and shopping and amenities to those people in the local area who haven't the ability to go out to get groceries. And to see that from, we're talking cross community here, and the GAA is always associated with the nationalist community, but this virus doesn't just attack people from one side of the community or the other. And to see all of our community come together and the GAA leading from the front in Northern Ireland has been absolutely brilliant, and it really has done my heart good. So the question is, what do players do in this downtime? There is a litany of things that you can do, as a citizen and in terms of your community, as a community leader, because young people and older people who come to watch players play in championship games look to them and they're idols in some people's eyes. So we have a duty as a inter-county player, or past inter-county players, to show that leadership off the field in the different guys. And what the GAA has been doing has been absolutely brilliant. They've been leading from the front as usual. And again, going back to the core of it, we look after the vulnerable in our society, and I'm very proud as a GAA member in terms of the responses that have been taken by those people in the community, and they've reached out across the board to anyone who can help. And the GAA is such a hub of any club, be it rural or a city, and that's where the actual good, and that's where the need and the provisions have been coming from. This morning you saw John Finucane. Yes, he's an MP now, but I recall him doing nets for the Lawyers GAA team in Belfast, and he's out there providing goods from Tesco's to the local people in North Belfast that are most in need.
Here at Tesco, just beside the Abbey Centre, and I want to say a really big thanks to all the management here at Tesco who facilitated an early morning shop for the food banks in North Belfast. As you can see, we've got a tremendous amount of supplies. They're all needed for our vulnerable, for our in need, for those who are struggling at this time.
This is a time we come together as a community, as a GAA community, but also as a wider community. What should GAA players be doing with this downtime? They should be doubling down on being leaders in their own community to make sure that everyone gets through this next 3, 4, 6 months, year, whatever it takes, be that leader, and we'll be better for it, and us as a community will be better for it coming out of that. So what I will say, I suppose, to wrap up, is just everyone stay safe, adhere to those social distancing guidelines. This is so important. Maybe not you as an individual, but your granny, your granda, you know, maybe parents who have underlying health conditions. We are doing it for them, and as GAA people, we should be taking that lead. And I wish everyone the best and stay safe.
So that's our show this week. A little different, a little odd. I hope you enjoyed it. Going forward, we don't know what we're going to be doing, but I'd like to thank everybody for taking part, and I'd like to thank Northern Visions for giving us this opportunity to still put out the show. So thanks everyone, and I hope we'll see you again for the next episode.